Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Intuitive Angling here. Really appreciate you guys making some time to check the video out today. And we're going to talk today about one of my subjects I'm really fascinated in, about big swim baits and why most guys just struggle with them. They suck at fishing at them. And honestly, guys, I think that most bass anglers have never caught a fish on truly a big swim bait. So I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice that I think is going to help you guys, at least get a few bites on them. And we're right in the middle of the prime time for them. This is the time of year I love to fish them. So anyway, I'm going to be talking a bunch about these mega bass swim baits. And if you guys are interested in any of them, you can get them at Baitworks here in Springfield, Missouri. They got a great selection. I'll include the link in the description. That's a really good way to help the channel out here if you use that link. Okay guys, let's talk a little bit about this. The swim baits that I'm talking about, now there's a difference between a swim bait and a glide bait. The glide bait is like this, like the iSlide, the Megabass 262T glide bait. This is a hard bait. It's fished a little bit. It's similar to a swim bait, but it's fished different. This is a glide bait. We're not talking about this. What I'm talking about is the big swim baits, like the Megabass Mag Draft here. Several different sizes. And there's a lot of different ones. The Mag Draft, it has the hook already built into them. Some of the big swim baits have the through-eye models. There's just a lot of different variations. Some have a fixed head and a hook coming out the top. A lot of different ways to rig them, but basically the philosophy of the big swim bait is all the same. They're oversized lures that are designed to catch big fish. But I'm going to say, and like I said, starting out here, I think that most guys that bass fish have never caught a fish on one. To be honest with you guys, it's probably the lure category that I've caught the fewest amount of bass on. And the reason being is because it takes a special fish that has to be just in the right mood to actually bite these things. Now, you can get a lot of fish to follow them once in a while, but to actually get one to eat it, it's one of the most difficult things to do as far as lure category in fishing. But I'm going to give you guys a few tips here. First of all, let's talk a little bit about size. I consider a big swim bait anything to be like from this is the 6-inch Megabass Mag Draft, up to like a 10-inch Megabass Mag Draft. You can see significant difference. This is a big bait. It doesn't look like it next to the 10-inch model, but this is the chunk of plastic, guys. This is a larger bait than what normally people fish for bass, and this one is almost like a saltwater model. So first thing you have to realize is the larger that you go in your swim bait size, the fewer bites that you can expect to catch, but you can't expect to catch the larger bass. The first thing I want to talk about, why I think a lot of people don't catch many fish on a big swim bait, is they use the wrong colors. Guys, it's been my experience when you're fishing swim baits that you have to go to some type of a translucent. See, you can sort of see my finger behind this. This is like a translucent color. Even this big one here, like this white shad here, it's sort of a translucent color a little bit. One of the things that I found about swim bait fishing is color is key, because these things are so big that the fish get a really good look at them. And I haven't done that good on the baits that are like really bright colored swim baits, or they're solid color, like they're more like a pearl or whitish. I just have not done that good on them. The ones that I've done the best on are the translucent colors. And what the deal is I think the translucent color actually, not only it looks a little bit more realistic, but for some reason it has a big profile, but it doesn't look, the profile does not look the same as if the bait is solid color. If this bait right here was like white or pearl, or if this bait was white or pearl, it would set out a completely different glow in the water and basically make the bait even look bigger than what it is. First thing I want to recommend, guys, is you have to go to a translucent color when you're picking out your swim baits, like the Megabass Mag Draft here. These are all Mag Drafts that I'm talking about, by the way. Second thing that you have to do, and one of the big reasons people don't fish them, is there's different levels to this, is fishing them in the right area. One of the big keys for fishing big swim baits like this is I found that if you're fishing the swim bait around open water, like where there's not much cover on the bank, like if it's just rocky banks or something like that, you got to fish these swim baits in an area that gives the bass the opportunity to come at them from all four corners. In other words, the water has to be deep enough where the fish can come up from the bottom to get it, or they can come from the sides, or they can come from the top. That's why I've done the best on these big swim baits around like, any type of main lake or secondary steeper points where the bass have the option to come at them from all 4 different directions if you don't have cover. The next thing that you want to fish these things around, and probably my favorite way to fish them, is to fish them around some type of cover. Now this could be whatever cover that you have. It could be around the corner of a boat dock. Boat docks are great places to fish big swim baits on because the fish, they attack it from an ambush point, and that's the same with any type of cover. I've done really good on them around flooded bushes. Anytime you have flooded trees in the water, when the water's higher, again, it provides an ambush point by them, or around blow down trees, around stumps, along the edge of grass lines, anything like that. You got to throw these things around some type of hard edge cover to create an ambush point for them. Just like any other thing about that, but especially for the big swim baits like this. The next thing you need to do on this thing is you have to fish them at the right time period under the right weather conditions. You're going to find out that it's very difficult to get bit on these big swim baits if you don't fish them on a type of a weather pattern where the fish are aggressive. And when I'm talking about being aggressive, I'm talking about rising barometric pressure prior to a cold front moving in, where you have like a strong southerly airflow and some type of partly cloudy to cloudy condition, something that makes the bass real active. These are not baits that you want to fish during like bluebird skies when there's not much wind, that type of stuff. You need wind, you need clouds, you need warm airflow. That's going to get those fish active. And finally, guys, the main thing on this is probably the most important element to it all. All of them are important, but this is probably the number one, is you have to just throw the thing. You can't, when you're talking about getting bit on these big swim baits like this, the number one reason, in my opinion, that people do not get bit on them is they see these videos like, Oliver Nye, he's a master at them, and they see Oliver catching these giant fish on them, but they don't realize how many hours Oliver has been throwing that thing to catch these hogs that he catches on them. So you have to make the commitment when you go fishing to them, is you can't just throw them for 15 or 20 minutes, because I can promise you, if you throw this thing right here that weighs 6 ounces for 15 or 20 minutes, it feels like you've been throwing it all day long. But you just have to put it in your hand and not take it out. The best way, if you really want to catch some big fish and get bit on a big swim bait, is don't take anything in the boat except one rod and a bunch of big swim baits. Don't take that way you don't have the opportunity to put it down. You have to throw it, and that is another big factor with it. But anyway, guys, I think that if you adopt some of that stuff that I just talked about, it's going to go a long way into allowing you to catch your first big swim bait fish. Because really, I think most of the dudes out there watching this video have never caught a bass on a truly big swim bait before. They look great. That's the thing about fishing big swim baits, is they're addictive because they look so good in the water. And when you see a big fish pile on one of them, it's addictive to it. You want to keep throwing it, but you got to throw them in the right situations and have everything just in your favor to get bit on it. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. Much appreciated. Please hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you later.